We have to get over this huge language barrier. I'd really like to talk and listen. Two of those elements are out the window. I'm not worried, though. It's not going to stop me.
We need to talk about Tripp, y'all. Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel and to this series where I am dissecting TLC's Love Translation, a multicultural dating show where no one speaks the same language, yet everybody is hoping to find love. I've made a playlist of the episode analyses I've done so far. You'll find that right over here and down in the description. Feel free to click on that and catch up if you've missed anything. I'm gonna tell you right now, I woke up and chose violence. I am so sick of Tripp. I am so tired of him. We are going to be reading him for filth, y'all. I am done with all of this nonsense and tomfoolery. It's got to be addressed. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, if you agree, if there's something that you spot that I have not. If you want to be in defense of Tripp, it's fine. We will be respectful, okay? I will be respectful. Let's start at the beginning so that y'all can get the full picture of why I do not like this man. Tripp is a 30-year-old from Los Angeles, California. He's one of the 3 male contestants on this show. He's a personal trainer, and he was also a Marine for about 4 years. Tripp credits the military for molding him into this person who does really well under pressure.
I'm able to put up with discomfort with no problem.
Sounds pretty impressive so far, right? Well, it's not. I've got several bones to pick with Tripp that prove that he is the worst contestant on this show. Trust me, this is going to be a wild ride. I hadn't mentioned Tripp's military background up until now because it just felt like one big trope. You know when somebody has a particular aspect of their life that they decide to make their entire personality? That feels like Tripp. In the first episode, he goes on and on about how combat and obstacle ready he is because of his military training.
I am a trained professional.
But when he is faced with the real world challenge of having to communicate with people across cultural and linguistic barriers, this tough guy facade just crumbles.
Anybody know any English? All of my abilities that make me who I am, like half of them are taken away right now. I can't talk to him.
It's a far cry from this picture he was painting of this cool, confident, collected soldier that he claims to be. If anyone is primed for immediately adapting to obstacles and overcoming them, you would think that a Marine would be so much lighter on their feet in these kinds of situations, right? The stark contrast between how he describes himself and how he behaves is enough for me to highlight this big gap between who he thinks he is and who he actually is.
He's the only guy I've met who's like planning out 6 dates and getting ready to marry her and stuff. This is before the approach.
Yes. I am a hopeless romantic. Yes.
We have very different definitions of the word romantic. I'm just saying. That doesn't sit well with me, that's like your reputation. Of course, be intentional. Yes, pursue. But before you even meet the person, no.
I've always imagined a love at first sight with a beautiful stranger.
I've never understood this fantastical Disney prince or princess thinking. When you're a kid, it's cute maybe. When you're a teenager and you're going through your angsty phase, reading books like Twilight or whatever, I get it. Like, it's still something that we can explain away. But when you're a full-grown adult, Dylan is 21, Khalil is 24, Tripp is 30. Mr. Man chose to live his life as if he is in a romantic comedy bubble, and he is oblivious to the real issues that couples face once they connect. There's nothing wrong with wanting romance, but thinking that you have to go halfway around the world to find it doesn't change the fact that you're a man-child and wherever you go, there you are. This kind of thinking isn't just immature, it's also unrealistic. It sets him up for disappointment, and it also prevents him from building genuine connections with people.
The women in Los Angeles care about money and status. Women from other countries see things differently.
This is an oversimplification to the max. Tripp's claims are not supported by any kind of evidence or data. They're strictly his beliefs or his perceptions of what the world is, and they are certifiably wrong. It doesn't matter what country you come from, the color of your skin, the language you speak, there are gold diggers and status seekers on every corner of God's green earth. Tripp is the poster child for what a lot of people outside of the United States of America think Americans are. When I was living in the Dominican Republic, there were Dominicans that would argue with me about the fact that I could not be from the United States because I was not white. He's the kind of person a foreigner might aspire to be with so that they can project that image of living the American dream and having made it big. You're out here actually believing the things that you say, not even realizing how much of a target you are for international love scams, but yet women from the US are the problem? It's not just that Tripp's comments are offensive, he's perpetuating stereotypes and reducing entire continents of women down to these simplistic caricatures.
The most meaningful relationships I've ever had are with women from other cultures.
Y'all, there is no way that you can convince me that this man is a seasoned intercultural dater and still as dumb as a bag of rocks. Like, I can't. If you have dated individuals from other cultures and countries before, you don't act like this.
I cannot speak. I cannot listen.
I don't normally eat this kind of food.
They're very short and spicy and sassy. Italians love carbs.
I don't know any other languages.
I can't talk to them.
A real experienced intercultural dater is somebody who is humble, open-minded, and curious. They're much more culturally aware, and they don't speak in these blanket stereotypes like what we saw him do with Latinas. They understand that making these kinds of statements or behaving in this way can come off as mockery and even disrespectful to the person you're trying to communicate with. For all of his talk about how he wants to be with somebody that is different from him, Tripp doesn't seem to have done any of the work required to have a successful relationship with somebody that is worlds removed from him, his culture, his language, his country, any of that. Essentially, he's flailing around making all of these basic mistakes that somebody who has been there and done that before would know to avoid. The only logical explanation I have for his behavior is that, one, he's a clueless fool who's exaggerating that one time he dated that woman that was 1/8 Navajo on her mother's side, or he's a liar. Neither of those are good looks. This point ties back into number 5 because it deals with what you would and wouldn't do as an intercultural dater, but it's much bigger than the things that I mentioned before. The moment he finds out that the very women he's interested in don't understand him, he shuts down. It's like he makes up this story in his mind that because they don't speak the same language, he has to talk to them as if they were deaf.
Where in Italia are you?
They must be infantile and easily entertained.
Wow, yeah.
They must be dumb.
Deep. You understand.
This isn't just about language barriers, y'all. This is about respect. Tripp's behavior is condescending, it's patronizing, and it doesn't get better as time goes on. That brings us up to episode 4. Tripp is on a date with Lady, who is a 28-year-old Spanish-speaking Colombian woman. While Tripp claims he's got all of this multicultural experience, Lady says this is the first time she's dated a non-Colombian and a non-Spanish-speaking person.
Super caballero. Me trate como una princesa. Hombres americanos son así. Espero poder encontrar un hombre ideal.
To her, it probably feels like a fairy tale or a dream come true, especially since Latin American culture idealizes the white standard of beauty. She's with this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, tall, muscular, retired military veteran, so it's possible she believes she hit the jackpot. As a result, she is way too patient for his nonsense. This seems to be an all-day date. Remember, they're in the Dominican Republic, so at lunchtime they go to a restaurant, and when they're trying to order their meals, of course, shocker, oh my goodness, everyone speaks Spanish. When Tripp doesn't understand what the waiter is saying, Lady decides to act out those animals.
Pescado? Carne.
She thinks it's cute. Ma'am, this is embarrassing. Just like Tripp did with Giselle in the lagoon, he talks at Lady and pushes through her confusion. He doesn't take the time to observe her body language and see that she's confused, or take a moment to process how he can best say things that would make sense to her. What makes his behavior even worse this time around is that he does this.
Me feel good. Want to learn Espanol. Me like old crane. The other two little.
What is this? I don't even know what he's trying to say, and I speak English. The whole date was really hard for me to watch and rewatch because I put this together for y'all. How inappropriate and demeaning and disrespectful to speak to somebody like this because they don't understand English. If he's brazen enough to do this on live television, what makes you think he wouldn't do this in front of his family, his friends, or in front of her family and friends, and treat every day like it's a game of charades that she's too stupid to win? They're in a love experiment right now, so she's not feeling it, of course. The sheer embarrassment of having somebody treat you like this day in and day out because they think you're not intelligent enough to have a conversation in different ways. What if they turn to their family members and they shrug and they're just like, this is what I got. She doesn't speak English, so this is how we communicate. And what if those people start talking to her like that? It's so insensitive. Think about the implications being treated like that can have on somebody long term. This could damage her self-esteem. It could make her question her own intelligence and her ability to communicate well. Over time, she may even begin to feel resentment toward her partner because he's not pulling his weight in trying to be an effective communicator. The constant misunderstandings and feelings of being talked down to or treated like a child can lead to this cycle of chronic frustration. Even if it's unintentional, his behavior can be perceived not just by her, but by those around her as disrespectful to her intelligence and also to her language. I do really like that lady tries to bridge the communication gap with Tripp. Like I said, she's got a lot of patience, but she is the only one doing the work, and Tripp is just resting on his laurels, talking about how they have such a great connection and they communicate well. Tripp's behavior is a prime example of everything that's wrong with how some people go about cross-cultural relationships. Thankfully, not everyone is Tripp. In fact, one of the other male contestants is practically the anti-Tripp, and he does a darn near perfect job of communicating with and connecting to the women that he is interested in. Next week, we'll be trading in the cringe for some actual relationship goals. Be sure to give this video a like, subscribe so that you don't miss any of the upcoming content about this show. And in the meantime, you can check out some of our other videos where my partner Alex and I share how we navigate the complexities of our intercultural relationship. As we always say on our channel, with God, all things are possible. Take care, and I'll see you next Wednesday.